All right, getting all ready for my 1.5 viewers. All right, same day, different video. I decided, since I did my first video in the morning, and I'd like to finish this series by my Tuesday, Wednesday weekend, my last Tuesday, Wednesday weekend, I think. After this, I'm going to rejoin the rest of the world and have regular weekend days off. How nice. Yay for me. Okay, so I just finished the Introverted Thinking video this morning, and now we are going to look into the 48 laws of power with Extroverted Intuition. So how do lead NE users or high NE users, that's our ENFPs and ENTPs in both socionics and MBTI, how do they wield power? How do they stand out among the rest of us in the 48 laws of power? Let's find out. So here we go. First law for extroverted intuition thinkers or feelers, or either or, is law 7. Now, some people say this is an FE trait, which it can be, but I peculiarly notice this in NE, and that is get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. Not only will such assistance save you from valuable time and energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do yourself what others can do for you. Now that I think about it, that's very TE sounding also. But I've noticed in real life, not in textbooks or theoretical wonderings, I have noticed that NE users are very good in the workplace at skipping around the hard work and somehow, some way getting other people to do it. I remember back in college and in grad school, whenever there was a group project going on, the high NE users, the lead NE users, they would be right in the middle of things, right in the mix of it all, but somehow, some way, they're like skipping around while you're doing the hard work. And then when we present to the class or present to the office, they're right there getting credit for the same work that was all done by a regular, someone leading with their other functions. And I have a son who is lead NE, and same thing, he just kind of skips through life, making good money, doing quite well for himself, and he's not doing that hardcore, I guess what we would call in the corporate world, getting your hands dirty. He just seems to just always be kind of cruising, kicking it. I'm sitting there just scrambling for keys and folders and trying to work out kinks of systems, and he's sitting there going, yeah, hey guys, what's up, want to see this new reel on YouTube? And I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how are you getting all your work done and getting good performance reviews and making good money? And NE users just always find workarounds, always find, not necessarily other people, sometimes it's other things. And again, TE users, FE users can do this also, but I just notice it conspicuously in NE users. Other people do their work for them just because they like them. They barely even have to ask for it. It's like, oh, don't worry, let me get that for you. They're just always kind of in the mix of things where they never get stuck in the mud, so to speak. So that's a good NE trait. That might be kind of a hot take because it's, TE people use delegation to have others do their work for them. FE people get into social contracts and bargains where other people do the work. But NE people are masterful because they don't have to tell other people to do it. They don't have to manipulate other people to do it, at least not conspicuously. Again, just other people just seem to do stuff for them that they can't do themselves. And whenever there's 5 jobs to do, they're never stuck with the worst one. Okay, so good on them for that. All right, next law. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. The world is dangerous and enemies are everywhere. Everyone has to protect themselves. A fortress seems the safest, but isolation exposes you to more dangers than it protects you from, and it cuts you off from valuable information, makes you conspicuous and an easy target. Better to circulate among people, find allies, mingle. You are shielded from your enemies by the crowd. Again, this sounds FE-ish, but in conjunction with the last law, get others to do the work. This one, don't build fortresses. NE people are never alone. They always have at least 1 or 2 good friends in the social group or at school or in the office. They always have, it's like they can achieve things through teamwork that even FE leads seem to do more of the work in a team. The NEs are just like, write my name down in your group too. I'll be with you guys. And then they get out of doing any of the hard work. They just skip around. It's kind of like, those ducks that just can run on water because they're so light and fast. They never sink. They never get wet. That's like a lead NE at work. Going back to the last law, they get other people to do the hard work. They're never isolated or alone. They're always in the mix of things without ever getting stuck. And again, they're never isolated. And I compare that to myself, where I'm the one doing most of the work, if not all of it. And I'm isolated quite a lot, maybe by choice, but still people are social creatures. And when we isolate ourselves, we're not doing ourselves any favors, even when we think we are, and regardless of, whatever my type is, when we just talk regular non-MBTI terms, socially, I'm not the most extroverted person. And so what happens is I end up doing the most of the work because that's my way of being part of the group, is I'll do the work, and then it's the NEs who are the opposite. They're just all socializing, getting by on that. Okay, next up, law 25. Recreate yourself. Now this is something I do know something about. Do not accept the roles that society foists on you. That's a weird word. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention, never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life. NE leads are really good at this. I think SE leads can be good at it also. Enneagram 7s, of course, are masters at this. Recreating yourself. Most of us who went to college end up in a profession that doesn't even go with our major. Of course, not everyone. It's not designed that way, but that's the way it ends up. Most of us don't end up in the same profession we started in. I started off as a professional surfer. Then I became a full-time college student. Then I was a teacher. Now, after that, real estate. Now, property management. I've had to recreate myself several times, sometimes by choice, sometimes always kind of by choice, but sometimes by necessity. And lead NEs are the best, bar none, at this. They can go from being an accountant to a beat writer on a travel page or something in a magazine. They're great at just burning it all down and starting all over from scratch. and doing something completely different and being happy about it. It's almost like, again, this lightness that they have that the rest of us seem to lack. When one door closes and they just glide through another one like nothing happened. Now, I can do that, but I have to break through the other one or break down the one that was closed. These guys just kind of skip along and find their way in life, and they're, I know they have their low points. I mean, anyone who's ever been in a relationship with an ENFP can tell you life's a roller coaster, man. The ups are super high and the downs are super low, and to you it can look like the same day, but the flip side of that, the positive side of it, is when things do go wrong in their lives, they're always ready to start all over and make it from scratch. Like my oldest son is like that. He's burned it all down and built it back up more times than me, in spite of being, a lot older than him. That's the magic of extroverted intuition. Okay, one last law. Let's go with law number 48. The last law: assume formlessness. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be as fluid and formless as water. Remember the famous Bruce Lee quote, "Be like water." Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes. I love this law. This is such an important law, and it's such a great law for NE leads and high NE users. Our INTJs in Socionics, INTP in MBTI, and as well as the NE leads, and I would say the INFPs too are good here. It sort of goes with the last law about recreating yourself. Like water, where they're stopped, they find a way through in another way. If they want to be a pro athlete and they don't make it, they end up being a real successful head coach or something, or an agent or something. Another way of saying this, it was in a famous movie with a lot of great actors called Copland. Ray Liotta was explaining his strategy of life to Sylvester Stallone. And he's like, follow the green lights. The light turns red, don't wait, turn right. Follow the green lights. And, I've done that through my life too. Sometimes I had to run a few red lights to get to where I needed to go. But the lead NE and high NE users are wonderful at assuming formlessness, following the green lights, just going with the flow instead of against it all the time. And for that reason, they are successful in the game of power. That's all I have for today. I think today's videos were my two best in this series so far. I'm not going to start over at this point though. So on to the next. Tomorrow we will do Introverted Intuition, and following that we'll do the two feeling functions, FI and FE. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.